Okay, welcome. So we will be doing our resources for creative instruction seminar. These seminars are designed again by the North American Division for Master Guide Leadership Training. So we always go to the Bible to look for the source. What is it that we want to accomplish? And in Philippians 4:8, we find this verse. It says, whatever things are truth, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are good of report, if there is any virtue, if there is anything praiseworthy, think of these things. When we are dealing with the resources that we will be using club ministries, we have to keep in mind at all times that what we're doing, what the sources that we're picking fall into this category, that anything that is in the sources is praiseworthy, has virtue, and is not gonna go against what we believe as Seventh-day Adventists. We need to select our resources because we will be working with club ministries. We will be working with adventures, with master guides. You guys know that under club ministries, those three ministries, and we can even sneak TLT in there, will be following under our leadership. So we need to come up with a way to be able to select these resources in a way that we are selecting those who are going to be positive for our growth, and we're discarding those that might have conflicting ideas with our Seventh-day Adventist philosophies or with the way that we do things. So the first criteria is that we need to check our beliefs. Does the source that we are using support our SDA biblical beliefs? There are plenty of sources out there from different churches. You can find from like Baptist churches, you can find it from different places, and many times it seems like it's something that goes along, but if you read it carefully, you will see that it's introducing some ideas that might not go necessarily with what we believe. So we need to be careful with that. If you can prefer to use an SDA resource over another denomination, I would highly recommend it. And if you are not sure or you need to, then be selective, because sometimes you will find certain beliefs sneaking through. Let's say, let me give you an example. The state of the dead, right? For us, we know that the dead know nothing, but other denominations, they believe in the immortality of the soul. So you die and you keep, you stick around as a guardian angel for your beloved ones, right? So we're selecting things, and we might find a story, and there's an illustration on the story where the grandma is as a ghost right next to the kid taking care of him, right? The story might be fine, but the illustration is introducing another idea. So we need to be open, alert, keep our eyes open, be able to filter that the resources that we're choosing, they follow within the SDA fundamental beliefs. All right, the second one is the venue. The venue is the place where we're going to be doing our activities. And a lot of times we do it in church, so we know church is safe and we're good, but we want to make sure that we take into account the security, because we're dealing with minors. And we want to make sure that the people that are having access to our minors are screened, are verified, they are part of your team and not strangers. So sometimes when we have activities outside, or we go to a place outside, let's say we want to go on a field trip to the library, right? So it's an open place. Who is going to be able to get access to them, right? So we need to consider, is this place safe? And if it's not safe, do we have enough chaperones? Is it worth it? And always safety for our children. You guys know that we have that as one of our highest priorities. The next one is the number of participants, which will affect the different styles of the resources that we have. It wouldn't be the same to be able to teach an honor for 5 people, 5 kids, as if you were teaching it at Camporee, let's say, when you have 30 to 60 kids per session. right? You need to consider what are the pros and what are the cons of a small class. So I want to hear from you right now. Tell me, what do you think are a small and con of having a small class? You can unmute your mics to participate.
The pros of having a small class is that you're able to really know what each child learning style is like. It'd be more interactive and you're able to do more things based on that child needs for the next meeting.
Thank you. Spot on. What else? What else? Budget-wise, is there a privilege? Is there a positive side of having less kids or not? What do you guys think? Let's say I'm teaching the boat model honor, right? In that honor, you're supposed to build up a model of a boat that works with remote control. That is gonna cost me about minimum $30 to $60 per kid, right? If I have room with 30 pathfinders, that might not be cost effective, right? That alone, in terms of budgeting, might restrict me, and I might want to switch an honor that is going to be more budget friendly for a group. So depending on the number of pathfinders or adventures that you have, you can increase the quality of materials and you can increase the budget. That's another thing complementing what Naomi was saying. Anybody else wants to give me a downside? No, because we talk about the positives. What about the negatives about having a small class? What do you guys think will happen if you have only one kid in your class or two kids in your class? And you put them a YouTube video or some PowerPoint presentation, it's not going to be as nourishing to them because they're lacking the environment where they're interacting with other kids, right? So I might want to, instead of considering a PowerPoint presentation, try to get something that is going to be more hands-on to them, right? So now let's talk about the large class. What are the benefits of having a large class? Anybody wants to help me with that?
It can be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marianne.
You want to go first, and then I'm gonna go after.
All right. When we think in terms of a large classroom, it can be very engaging and interactive. Whether it be pathfinders or adventurers, they're able to socialize in different ways. In some cases, I don't want to put my experience in, but in some cases, when we have large group, you can, what we say, pair a child that's, we want to say, a little higher in terms of comprehension as against with a lower child. So you help them to collaborate in terms of what activity or task is being done so the child can become motivated. So when we think of large group, you have peer integration because they're able to interact with others. Some of them might not be as, let's say, versed in a particular area, and then you might have another child who has the ability to perform in that way, and they can, share ideas and learn from each other. That's one form of where integration works well for that. It's good social interaction. You can also learn, let's say, cultural backgrounds from other children, not just how your group might do something. So, for example, in the class, you might have a child who's Hispanic, somebody who has Haitian background, so they can share their cultures. And, so for example, if we have outdoor activities, they can have different cultures and everybody can integrate and be a part of. So those are like some ways that the large group would work well.
Thank you so much, Medita. Very good.
Oh,
So we can have
okay.
a high energy and diversity, she was saying. Go,
Okay,
Harry.
so I'm looking at it from the disadvantages. You can promote disengagement among those students in the class, and they would feel, some of them would feel alienated, and you have certain disruptive behaviors, and so sometimes, and it can be very challenging to teach large classes because based on, as sister said before, based on the different diversities and those sort of things.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, definitely it's more challenging when you have a larger group than when you have a smaller group. Did anybody else wanted to go?
I just want to share a positive in terms of having a large group. What you find, see, is that sometimes one can be an inspiration to the others. Because sometimes you got one student and that one student is not so much motivated to work, but you have more than one, you have a number of students, is that you find, see, that they are more inspired to do their classwork and finish their assignments.
Thank you so much for that, Harry. So we have pros and cons, right? We have diversity, we can share that high energy, but just like that, we also have challenges because you're going to be able to reach out on one-on-one if you have 30 to 60 and you only have one instructor. And also they can encourage each other to complete their assignments. But just like that, it can be the other side of the coin too, that you have one person misbehaving and that discomfort, he's not being satisfied, not enjoying being in the club, might also translate as that energy spreading around in the group. So you have both things. And when you have those things, then you're going to need different resources to be able to tackle the small group and the big group. And this is something that we are constantly facing when we're trying to plan the activities for camporees, right? You guys don't see what goes behind for camporee planning, but it takes a lot of work to be able to see how we can present the activity that is going to be still joyful and educational and beneficial for each kid in a large group. And it's good to keep in mind both and learn what are the resources that we can use for both, because right now your club might be small, you might have 5-7 kids per class, but may the Lord bless your church, and next year your club goes from 15 to 30 kids and then to 40 kids and 60 kids. Then you need to start finding more resources and switching up your teaching methods to be able to service those groups that are now larger. So this is something that we have to take into consideration when we're selecting our resources. Thank you so much for those participating. We have one more. We have qualifications and experience, right? Right now, some of you have been pathfinders and you already have an advantage over us who have not been pathfinders when we were little, right? Because you grew up in it and you start soaking in that knowledge and the experience, and you know how it was fun when somebody taught you an honor and when you were bored, so you know what to do and what not to do. You're more or less aware of the material. But if you are an adult coming into the Master Guide program, your qualifications might be a little less. You might not be as experienced as in certain fields. And even if you are here 40 years, there are still fields that we don't dominate. It's not in our field of expertise, and that is okay. We gotta be honest with what are our qualifications and our experience in order to see if we need to do research ahead of time, prepare ahead of time, or look for somebody that might be qualified and be willing to come to our club and give that seminar, give that training. All right, so we need to find out if there are people in our club, first in our staff. A lot of times we go to church, but we don't know who went to school to do what, who works where, right? And we might be ignoring that, even though, let's say, Charles goes to church, and I know he's a teacher, but I didn't know Charles, he used to work before when he was younger in web design. And now when I'm gonna take one of those vocational honors, he could be helping me give that honor, right? And I didn't know because I never got to ask them. This is why it's good in that registration form. Sometimes when we give to our staff at the beginning of the year, we tell them what are your hobbies, what are your knowledge, what's your benefit outside extracurricular activities, so we can know if they have special skills that we could use for the advantage of our club. So outside of our staff, we have members in our church. We have also members in our community. A lot of times there's resources in our community, but we are not looking outside of church, so we don't know. We have the fire station where the firefighters, a lot of times in the stations, if you reach out, they could give training to the adventurers. They could give training to the pathfinders. If you talk and you coordinate it ahead of time, right? There are schools that you could reach out and they might have resources, or they might have people trained that they can refer to you and to come and give an honor or give a seminar on something. And don't forget that in the case of the adventures also have that family network. So it's not just awards and books with the adventures, it's also ministering to the parents. So you might want to see if there is perhaps a psychologist, a teacher in your community or in your church that could be willing to come and teach you something. And the parents are gonna appreciate it better. But if it's not in your expertise, don't try to get out of your lane and stand in front and teach them something if you have not done your research. Sometimes you're not going to be able to find people that are specialized in this, and it's going to fall on you. And this is where you need to get ahead of time and prepare and do research and find your resources and do everything ahead of time so that you are prepared. A lot of times they say fake it until you make it, right? But kids notice when you don't know and you're just talking to make that time go away. So look for resources. If this is something that you don't dominate, a field that you're not too versed on, try to look for help. And do not forget that we also have people in the conference that can help you with this, right? Remember your coordinators, remember directors from other clubs. Remember that you have chats where you can always go and put your information. The other day, somebody from a club was looking for instructors for some honors, and they just went on the chat and said, I'm looking for somebody who can help me with this. We can always reach out and ask for help. So don't forget that you might be qualified, but you can also take advantage of other people being qualified in your church, in your community. All right, so let's keep going. How do we develop our teaching resources? In order to encourage participants to develop their full potential, we must develop a package of information that helps fulfill the class requirements and honors, right? We need to prepare a package that is going to have enough information for them to be able to complete the requirements. Imagine we just give them these books. Oh, here you go. Come back in 3 months when you figure it out. No, we need to find if there is some assignment that we're giving them to do on their own. We can tell them, here's a book, here is a website, here's something. But remember, please, that Wiki Pathfinders is not for Pathfinders. It's just for the instructors. I'm just going to put a little note in there, right? There are resources that they could use. We can always find some resources in Advanced Source, some booklets, some tutorials for something that we can share with them. Okay, requirements leave room to accommodate a variety of teaching methods. And we're talking specifically about investiture achievement requirements. And for adventures, the adventure curriculum requirements. They're not written in stone. We're not going to be able to tell you, oh, this is the only way you can fulfill your nature study segment, or this is the only way that you can fulfill this specific award for BCB. No, there is always room. You have the freedom as an instructor to be able to adapt, first of all, to your knowledge, to your budget, to the size of your club. Okay, so you can always adapt things. Let's say you have to do an honor where you're learning about, let me think of an award, I'm sorry. Let me think of an award. Let's say the award of friend of animals, right? You can do different, it just says a craft with animals. You can decide where you're going to do a craft with animals. It's not telling you it necessarily has to be a mask of an animal. No, you can do a clay model, you can do a painting, you can do finger painting, you can build something up with cotton. You know, like, it's not strict. It's not just the one thing. It gives you room to be able to be comfortable with what you're doing. So we have to keep in mind this. For investiture achievement, for honors and awards, we have room for creativity and to adapt it to what you can offer to your club. A good teacher will evaluate the requirement, the class, the venue, and other factors, and then choose the most effective teaching method, including the use of appropriate teaching aids. All right, so going back to the boat model making honor, I mentioned that one of the requirements is to build a remote control boat. And let's say this is about between $30 to $60. If my group was small enough, maybe I can fundraise and be able to have one for each kid. But if my group is big enough, now I know I have to make them into groups of 3 or 4 people and have one kid per group, right? And make them work in groups. So you analyze all these things and then you decide how you're going to teach this specific requirement. Instructors must be aware of the importance of selecting effective teaching resources to provide pathfinders, adventures, and master guides with rich resources to help them complete their requirements, right? We need to select not the first thing that falls in our lap, but what is going to be more effective. I might have something to do, a craft, somebody gives me a craft, but it's too advanced for my little lambs. I might not be able to use that because it's too difficult. My little lambs don't write yet, don't paint yet the way older kids do. So I might need to adapt, right? In order to meet the requirements, instructors or leaders like us yourselves need to assess the following. What do we have on hand? What is it that is around us? What if my club has already some resources from last year? Is there something in it that I can use? Right? A lot of times we have reading requirements and we're going around looking for books and we didn't know that past directors bought books and they're in a closet somewhere and we could use those to fulfill those requirements. So what do we have on hand? What do we already have that we could use? What they can call on, all right? What they can call on, what they might need to find. So what is it that if I need to find somebody who's going to be able to help me teach the sewing honor, right? Because I know nothing about sewing machines. Or if I need to call on somebody or buy some things or get some things, order some things from advent stores ahead of time. So I need to assess all these things. A lot of times, ideally, we would like to buy new things, but we can use things that we already have. So that is going to help us with our budget, help us with the situation. For adventures, I recommend that at the beginning of the year, you get a bunch of supplies, and then it opens up your mind to say, okay, I have to give this award in 2 weeks, and I have crayons, and I have cotton, and I have paint. What can I do with that, right? Having a variety of teaching resources and teaching methods will encourage an integrated holistic development. If you always have the same thing and every time you do something, it's exactly the same thing, it's going to become monotonous. It's going to become predictable and boring for the kid, right? If all your awards, again, going to adventures. If all your awards is always a photocopy of something I'm painting it with crayon, it's going to become too repetitive. The kid's not going to find it motivational enough. They're going to, oh, now we're going to paint, right? But if every time, every week, your craft is something different, then you add richness to that. Resources needed for completing awards and honors and investiture achievement. All right, so first of all, I want to know how many of you are aware that we have, what is it that I talk when I talk about investiture achievement? Does anybody have it's not clear about that? Okay, good. Perfect. So we know that investiture achievement are the requirements that we need to do in order to complete a Pathfinder class, an AY class, right? And for adventurers, we have the equivalent, which is the adventure curriculum and the scope, the sequence of work. And we also have awards for adventures and honors for Pathfinders. So I need resources to be able to complete these requirements. And when I'm looking for my resources, I can take into account first my personal. My personal is going to be the people. People are going to be one of the most valuable resources for my team as a leader. All right, we did talk about it, about somebody in the community, somebody in the church, but also somebody in your team. All right, you find tradespeople, medical personnel, teachers, psychologists, people with hobbies, people that work in a specific jobs that could help you do some things. And a lot of times, maybe those people in your church, they don't have those skills, but they know a friend who knows that. And they say, oh, I have a friend who is, like a dentist. Maybe he could come and teach us the health and hygiene award. And you get them, you get the connection, you get the referral through them. All right. The second one is the place. Most clubs have their venues in the church, so they can work with other departments, which is Sabbath school. You have Sabbath school, you have VBS, but a lot of churches also have schools. They have primary, secondary schools. That's unfortunately not the case for every church, but some churches have that situation where they can attend to these schools and see if they have resources. Maybe your neighborhood has a library close enough, a museum, a community center, a park, a community garden, some place that you can use as an additional venue aside from your church to have a special activity. Now, it's good that we meet in churches, but remember the months where it's warm out, that especially for Pathfinders, is not an indoor ministry. We want to take them out and change the setting every now and then. So see if you can go to these other venues and find resources, right? Maybe you can do one field trip to the library Saturday afternoon if it's open, I don't know. And see if you can get some resources from them. Sometimes community gardens, they have a specific programs and you can take your kids to be volunteers in there. And sometimes they have trainings on a Sunday where you can go and learn, I don't know, about a specific type of plants, and you use that as a complement to teaching floriculture, right? So you can use all these places as resources. You also have materials such as books and magazines and articles that they come in hand when you need to talk about something specifically for adventures. They have a lot of reading requirements, reading honors, right? And Pathfinders, they have discussion requirements where they have to talk about issues that teenagers are facing. So you can find these resources in books and magazines that you can take the article and say, well, statistically, this article said this and that, and you're backing up your information, not just with your opinion, but with facts. All right. Also, you have videos and the internet that are very valuable. We can find many ideas nowadays. Everything, you can go and Google anything and it will give you something back. All right, so as instructors, we need to select what is appropriate to fit the various class requirements. All right, because some videos might be useful for older kids, but for younger kids, maybe I need to watch the video myself ahead of time, and then I can replicate that instead of showing them the video. So we check this material. Some of those materials are good for us, and some are good for us to share with everybody in the club. So we need to make that difference too between what is for the instructor and what is for the club members. Right, so we continue. Creativity and resources that encourage creativity. Now, first of all, I know many people that tell me, like, I'm not creative. I don't like being artsy. I don't like arts and crafts. I hate it. When I was in school, I would always hate when they gave me these things. Let me tell you that in club ministries, the Lord will call you to get out of your comfort zone. All right. If you tell me I'm not creative, well, you came to the right place, because by getting involved in club ministries, you're opening the doors for the Lord to give you that a spiritual gift, because it's not a spiritual gift, right? If you're not creative, don't worry. That's something that the Lord can give you if you pray enough, and the Lord will put it on you, and it grows. It's something that you learn, and then you start replicating, and then you start getting your own ideas and your own style. So creativity is something that the Lord can give you, and it's something that you don't need to be frustrated if you don't have it. As soon as you submerge in activities in club ministries, you're going to start opening up and growing ideas. All right, so you have some resources that can help you enrich the learning process, and some others going to deepen the children's understanding, and they provide kids with joy and fun and joy. So it's not only about learning and learning and learning, but learning in a fun way. So let me give you some examples of resources that encourage creativity. We have club ministries, and right now I'm going to talk about the adventures. So we have club ministries. If you guys are not aware, I'm pretty sure most of you are aware, but let's pretend nobody knows about this. So we're going to click it. And we're gonna go to club ministries, and we find out, you guys, I'm gonna share my other screen so you can see what the website sent me to, right? This is the club ministries page for adventures, and we can find here the adventure curriculum. We can find it per classes. If you find there, you have Little Lamb, Eager Beaver, BCB, Sunbeam, Builder, Helping Hand. Some resources here are free. And unfortunately, I have to say that there are few resources that you have to buy, but if you look hard enough, sometimes you find it for free. But a lot of the resources here are free. You find, for instance, the activity book, right? You can find it in English, Spanish, and French. You download it, it's right there. Right, and you can refer, let's say you have a community child who can buy the book, the activity book, you can print it out for them, right? That's one of the resources that you find here. Another resource that you find here is the Adventure Club Basics. It gives you some insight on what are the basics of the club. If you are opening up a club and you have no idea how the adventures work, you can find some introduction there. Unfortunately, here the director's guide, they sell it. However, I do have the director's guides for most of the classes in PDF. If you need, I can share with you so you can save yourself, I think it's about $35. The instructor's guide is the director's is $14.95, but the instructor's guide, the leader's guide, there you go, it's about $35, $30. Okay, but I have those in PDFs. If you need them, let me know, I can share with you. And so you can find also here some instruction about the curriculum. If you go here, you go to Stars, Chips, and Awards, and it will give you the specific awards are needed. So you find some resources there in terms of adventures. You see, you have here uniform, the adventure pledge, certificates, adventure Bible game, right? Some graphics, and you can use these resources. So this is in terms of adventures. You also have Advent Source, and let me go here to Advent Source, because in Advent Source, you can find the requirements for the awards. A lot of times when we go to, let's say, we're going to pick a class. Let me pick Sunbeam, all right? So let's say for Sunbeam, we have the award that is called Act of Kindness. And it gives me here what are some of the requirements and some of the answers. If you notice, this is an additional help. But I can also go to Advanced Source. Where did I go? I can always go to Advanced Source and put in the search bar acts of kindness. Is it acts of kindness or acts of kindness? Let me see. Acts of kindness. And it will give me the requirements, right? I look here, acts of kindness. Don't get scared because it's restricted. You can always click on the patch and it will give you the requirements there. And you can print this out for a guideline. So as instructor, you have this guide. Here are the requirements. And here are some suggestions or helps and some resources that it gives you to be able to teach some of these requirements. So you see, we understand that not everybody in the team is going to be versed in this. So you have these resources at your hand. So if you're new teaching a class and they put you, let's say, to teach BCB and you've never taught BCB, don't worry about it. You have somewhere to look to. You can start preparing ahead of time, right? So this is in terms of advanced source. Now we have YouTube channels. You guys know that nowadays you can go in YouTube and find many, many things. One of the channels that I'm always looking for, give me a second, is this one that is, one second, sorry about that, is this website, Kid Pit Activities. You can find many, many, many. I'm just giving you an example, all right? So if I go to this YouTube channel, what I like about this one is that they're constantly giving different ideas of crafts that I can do for kids. And I look at the videos and I check if the level is simple enough for my little lambs, for my eager beavers. I look for crafts that might be more difficult for my higher level, my builders, my helping hands, you know, and I look for different activities that I could use. I also take into account, I also take into account my budget, right? Are these materials that are too expensive? Again, if I have a club that is small, maybe I can go fancy and go buy something fancy Michael's. But if my club is large enough, then I gotta reduce my budget. I have to buy in Dollar Tree. So what can I find in Dollar Tree that I can use for one of these situations and one of those crafts? Also, you have websites that sell kits. Let's say you are brand new, you are not very crafty, you don't have experience doing that. You can always find websites. One of them is Oriental Trading. In Oriental Trading, you find a lot. I don't know if it's Baptist, I don't know the denomination, but it's Christian based. So you find many crafts where you find kits that you can already purchase, right? You have pink here. Let me find one. Let's say I want to find animals. So they sell me different kits here. When I was looking for the fruits of the spirit, I can look here, fruits of the spirit. And it gives me different kits, different ideas, different materials. I find stickers, I find things. This is a little more fancy, right? But you can always just go in the internet and look for crafts and put like crafts for little kids, craft for teenagers, right? And things that we're gonna do. So this is in terms of adventures. I'm pretty sure you guys have more ideas. I'm gonna give an open mic right now if there's specifically for adventures right now. Is there any source that you want to share with the rest of us that you use for your adventure clubs that might not be included in what we talk? Okay, if you remember down the line, feel free to let me know. I remember something. Okay, so now Let me show you some of the materials. For those who came to the ABSD, you guys remember that I brought a lot of materials and I show you some of the materials that are very helpful for me to work with awards. Construction paper, very cheap, very easy to get. Cardstock is a little thicker, so it's more solid, gives you more support, but it's also more expensive. Color paper notes, you can find little, it's like a little booklet of construction paper, but smaller now. Many variety stores, 99-cent stores and Dollar Tree, they have it. Glitter cardstock, kids love the glitter. Double-sided tape is a lifesaver. You don't have to be having mess with the glue. You can use a double-sided tape. The mount-out tape or the 3D tape that they call it too is the one that is like foam, but it's sticky on both sides. Stickers, fuzzy sticks, Eva foam sheets, googly eyes. You can always make craft as simple and then you put googly eyes and it looks fancy. Template stencils, felt, acrylic paint. These are just some of the materials that you can use to teach your awards, and you can always modify these in terms of your budget and in terms of the size of your club. If, let's say, you were dealing with a club that is large enough, let's say 30 to 40 kids, try to include some materials in the club dues so that you can order from the beginning of the year. You can order in bulk and it's going to be cheaper than ordering small packages. Also, you save the time, and a lot of times it's cheaper when you order from Amazon in bulk, right? So this was done in terms of awards. Now let's move to Pathfinders. Investiture Achievement, as we know, IA is the core curriculum for Pathfinders for club ministries. Most activities and events can be developed and planned to fulfill the requirements through the Pathfinder year. From the beginning, you can look it up and see what you are supposed to teach throughout the year. Identifying basic resources can help you ease the activity planning load. If from the beginning of the year you're aware of how many honors you have to teach, how many specific activities you have to cover with nature study, with physical fitness, right? You can plan ahead of time. It's easier to plan it from the beginning of the year than 2 weeks before the books are due. You find out that you were supposed to go and do a field trip to a senior center and help somebody, right? If you prepare ahead of time from the beginning of the year, you can be more comfortable with what you need to do, and you can also delegate or have somebody coming, invite a special guest to come and help you give those honors and those classes. So people resources are your area coordinators and other experienced Pathfinder staff that are available. This can be inside your church, but it can also be outside your church. And I want to emphasize this. It's important that you don't work alone. You can work alone, that's fine, but you're going to burn out. All right, so let's make it smarter, not harder. And let's not forget our area coordinators. Very important. Become best friends with your area coordinators, because your area coordinators can open up people's resources for you, right? They can always recommend somebody to help you with knot tying honor, with camping skills, with special honors. We know people in the conference. When we start working with the conference, we start getting to know many people that like to give honors. So we can always refer you to a person that could help your club for a specific day. So they can help you implement the list of presenters, let's put it, that you can rely on throughout the year. So use the conference chats. You guys know in WhatsApp we have the AY leaders chat, but we also have the club leaders chat, where you can have your director post something if they need support with something, right? You can ask there, hey, I need help with drilling and marching for this day. Does anybody know somebody? And right there you will find resources. Directors consecration meetings. This is something that gets overlooked at the beginning of the year per areas. ideally, I cannot say every area does it, but many areas do have a consecration meeting for directors, and you can come as the director and with your staff, and you get to know all the directors from your area. So let's say the Bronx area consecration meeting will invite all the directors, AY and Pathfinders together to come on a specific day to have a special consecration ceremony for them. And that's the opportunity when you get in touch and you get to know who is the director from other churches. And if you can collaborate throughout the year, let's say have an honor day together, or visit them once and then have them come visit another time, or pair ups for some field trips, etc. Right, so you also have the ABSTs and PBSTs training session. Don't just attend to get the classes, attend to make friends and start a network. It's very important you start a network of people that you know from other places, because you always can look to that contact list and request assistance. At Camporees, when people come and inspect your club site, don't just be like, hello, welcome, and goodbye. But take their numbers, ask them, hey, do you know, I'm from this church, can you visit us? Make friends, okay? So all this can help you grow your network. Now, another resources, just like we cover with adventures, we have the clubministries.org for investiture achievement. And I'm gonna share my screen right now so you can see the website sending us to this website. In here, like I said, the difference with adventures is that for Pathfinders, most of the resources are free, including the director's guide and the instructor's leaders. So you have the director's guide here in English and Spanish, and you can download it for free. But you can always go to the class, let's say, let's pick Explorer. You can always here go to the class and you find the Explorer instructor, the instructor help, which is the manual that will give you a lot of ideas on how to teach that class. So a lot of times, let's say they select you to teach a class that you yourself haven't taken. Don't worry, it's fine. You have this book, and this book is going to be your best friend because it's going to give you ideas. First of all, it's going to introduce you to the different categories that we have in investiture achievement. And then it will give you ideas of what it needs to be completed, and teaching tips. You find teaching tips here a lot of times in the teaching tips. It gives you websites, it gives you ideas. Sometimes it even gives you the answers. So it's something good. Instead of you struggling at the beginning, go first. If there's something you don't know, come here first. See if this can give you an idea. If you cannot find it here, maybe you can then do researching other websites, but this should be your first step. All right, so it gives you an ideas. Sometimes it even gives you for the honors. You see, for the Bible verses, it gives you the list here. For the honors, they give you even the worksheets. Let me see. You see, it gives you the requirements for you to be able to see what you need to teach for every honor in the advanced level. Right. So another resource that you find in clubministries.org for investiture achievement is that you can find record cards that you could just print for you and be able to help you control the advance of every kid. You can find the individual record card if you want to print it yourself instead of ordering from advanced source. It's a tiny one that you can download, and you start checking every track as they complete it. You can start checking the requirements, and it helps you keep a tab on what they're completing and what they're missing, right? So you have the director's guide, and just like that, they have for every class. So this is in terms of club ministries. Now we also have Advent Source. It's very similar to what we did with Adventures. You come here and you put the name of the honor that you're looking to find. You click on the patch and you will find the list of requirements. If this is how you need it as instructor, it's like a checklist of all the things that you need to teach, but you also have the worksheet. A lot of times people tell me, I don't have the worksheet. This is where you get it for free. Instead of buying the manual, the book that they have, you can get it for free here, and you make sure that They always keep the latest version updated here, so that's good. Oh, sorry, I think I closed it. Okay, another thing that we can do, if you're a Spanish church, you can find it always in Spanish here too. A lot of people ask me. Unfortunately, they don't have it in French sometimes, I think, but I'm not sure for French. But they have it in English. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So this is for advanced source. Now we have Wiki Pathfinders. I have told you a lot of times, Wiki Pathfinders is only for instructors. So in Wiki Pathfinders, you find a list of all the AY honors. You can find them here, and sometimes you find that in the books it tells you, oh, for this honor, you need a level 2 honor, you need a level 3 honor. Even you guys have a requirement of a level 2 or level 3. If you're not sure which ones are, you can see here the skill level. You can see what area they are, right? Are there arts and crafts, health and science, household arts, nature, other industries, recreation, spiritual growth, and vocational. So those are the categories for AY honors, and you can always come here from the list, select it, and you will find it right away. It tells you what is the challenging part, what is the most difficult part that you have to teach in this honor. Then you can go to the requirements. You will select North American division most of the times. Okay, it gives you the list of requirements, but it also gives you the answer key. And you can, a lot of times it's more or less completed. Sometimes some questions aren't answered, but for the most parts, you find some answers here. All right, this is again for instructors. So let's say they ask you to give this honor and you have never given it. You can always come and prepare yourself ahead of time. And sometimes you might need to be honest and say, this is out of my league. I cannot teach this, so I need to find somebody who can help me teach that. All right, so you can find here everything here. So this is Wiki Pathfinders. But we also have in Pinterest. I was trying to look the direct link because in one of the trainings we were taking with North American Division, they told us that they do have boards for club ministries. However, I was not able to find a specific account, but you can always find here in Pinterest. Let me see. Pinterest, Pathfinder Club. You can find graphics, and this can help you. So Pathfinder Club. So I can come here and I find ideas of decorations, graphics that I can use with my club. Different boards. For instance, something that was very useful for me was the notes board that they sometimes I need this. Instead of buying it from advanced source, I can come here. It gives me a lot of invitation ideas, little souvenirs, graphics, right? It gives you different ideas that you could use. And the same goes also for adventures. I think for adventure, I was able to find some boards too. Adventure Club. You see, you find some graphics and some games, some things, some ideas. So you can always exercise your creativity by seeing what other people are doing. And a lot of times you can replicate this. Let's say this one, you might not be able to buy the kit, right? This is a kit that they sell, but you could just make something similar yourself in your budget. And you have that. All right, so these are some ideas that we have. Let me go back to the presentation 1 second. So now we're gonna do before we move to the group discussion, does anybody else have some ideas, some resources that we didn't cover here for Pathfinders that want to share with everybody else? All right, if you remember, let me know. All right, so now we're gonna move into a group discussion and just open up your mics. This is an activity that was suggested to us that we see an honor, and we kind of brainstorm on how we can teach it. And in this case, it was the seats honor. So these are the requirements of the seats honor. It's 9 questions. 1 through 4 are questions. 5, 6, and 7 are list of things that we need to do. Number 8 is another question, and number 9 is a collection of seats. So I'm gonna read the questions, and you don't give me the answer, give me ideas of how you will teach this in your own way. Ideas, oh, I have an idea, this is how I could show them the answer, or this is how I could do it, or I could do this activity so they find the answer on their own. All right, so the first question is, what is the main purpose of a seat? So unlock your mics, unmute your mics, and I want to hear from you.
I don't know, probably Google different resources and that shows what are the different purposes of seed.
All right. Thank you so much. What from the sources that we talk about, which one will be the one that you will go first to?
Probably Pinterest. Looks like it
You
might
will go
have some
to
stuff to
Pinterest.
help. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Who else? Who else wants to participate? Let's say you don't have the list of requirements. Where will you look for it?
On Advent Source.
An advanced source, good. You also have Wiki Pathfinders. All right. So let's move to question number 2. What fruits were first given to man in the Garden of Eden? What resources will you use to answer this?
To go straight to the Bible, the NIV version for the children.
Thank you so much. Who was it? Daniel?
Daniel, yeah, we're going to say the same thing too.
Good, good. So we have the Bible, but I like that Daniel was more specific. He said a version of the Bible that the language is clear enough for our teenagers, right?
So
Thank
then
you
that
so
means
much.
that we need to use the Pathfinder Bible.
Okay, but remember, not everybody has the Pathfinder Bible, so it's good. I think the Pathfinder Bible's New King's Version,
New King
or is
James
international?
Version, yes.
New King's Version. So that's very straightforward. All right.
Yes.
So let's keep going. Number 3, identify from a seed or drawing and know the purpose of each of these parts of seeds. You have the seed coat, the cotyledon, and the embryo. So you need to show them the parts and teach them about their purpose. How do you do these? Ideas.
You can go in the Wiki Pathfinders thing you.
Okay, good. I can go to
And you can go on the net also.
In the internet, I can find diagrams,
Yes.
right? Diagrams of the parts. All right.
Yes.
What else?
Some seeds,
The
when they're
schools,
dried,
the
you can
kids go
actually
to
split
schools
them in
and
half
so, yeah.
and see the parts.
Okay, somebody saying the school, and then Daniel, you said some seeds you can cut them and show them the parts.
Some seeds, when they dry, you can actually split it open and see all the 3 parts.
Very good. You see, we're all having the same question here, but we're coming up with different ideas, and that's good because there's not just one right answer. All right, so for this one, let me show you what I did. I taught this honor in Wyoming. Let me see if I can tilt my, again, because I was going to be teaching a large group. I knew I wasn't going to be able to have the one seat to show them. So let me see if I can get my camera far away. I got here my friend, Abby the avocado. All right, I got a plush toy because this honor is taught for friends and companions, which are the younger Pathfinders, and they're still in that transition from adventure to Pathfinder, so they like visual things. So this one came out with a zipper, right? And I was able to, it came like that. So what I did is I got the seat, I added on the back a little layer of what is this fabric? Felt. And I put the little parts so they could see here the cotyledon, right? They could see the embryo. They could see the seed code right here, and I will pass this on, and I will have a volunteer, and they will point at the parts. So instead of just not showing them the diagram, like we mentioned that I print from Google, I will pass it on and make them point at it, hands, each one. So it was a little more interactive. So that's just one idea of something that I did. And I'm sure you guys will have more ideas on how to do the same honor, right? And it was something catchy and they could hold it. And I will usually request the support of the youngest pathfinder and or the more hyper. If I saw them not paying attention, hey, come, you're going to be my assistant, and this is how I will teach them the parts. So this is just one idea that I had. All right, so let's keep going with question number 4. List from memory 4 different methods by which seeds are scattered. Name 3 kinds of plants whose seeds are scattered by each method. All right, so you're going to teach them about the different ways seeds get spread out. How will you do this? Ideas and the resources that we could use. Let me be clear. For this one, they're talking about seeds that get spread by the wind, by the water, by animals. So how we can teach them this?
I could see myself doing it through activity. So by wind, I'll probably have a fan close by with some and have them throw it up. Maybe by animals, I'll actually have them maybe pretend to be an animal and eat it and drop it somewhere else. By water and other things. Like just have them play it out on different ways, the seeds, and also maybe put the seed in a rubber band and slingshot it as some of the seeds that pop off from different beans. I don't know, something active like that.
I like that. Act it out. See, it didn't cross my mind, but now I like that idea. I'm going to copy that. Lily, you had your mic unmuted. Do you want to say something? All right. So let's keep going. List from memory 10 kinds of seeds used for food. How can you do this to teach them? How will you teach them? 10 seeds that we use for food. And this includes all the grains, all the, like
I'll
rice.
probably bring in, you could probably bring in like the seeds from your cupboard that you usually use to cook, like the lentils and the split peas. I don't know, something like that.
I like it. You will show them, right? Instead of just listing them, you can show them. You can have photos of it. You can make it a game. Very good. Okay, so now list of kinds of seeds that are used for oil, for sources of oil that we cook with. Ideas.
Maybe through using like a YouTube video and showing them like the process of even how the oil is made from the seed.
Oh, I like that. When they squeeze it and how the oil comes. Okay, so I can show them a short video, right? In my case, when I did it, I bought different bottles of about 4 or 5 types of oil. I went to the market and I got avocado oil. I got coconut oil. I got hempstead seed. I got like 5 of them, and I will pass them on so they can see it as well. All right, so there's different, in this case, my resource was Walmart. I went to Walmart and I got it. All right. List of seeds that are used for spices. Cooking spices. Ideas. Let me give you some on the list and you can help me. We have here cinnamon. We have sesame. You have here nutmeg.
Cinnamon is not a seed.
Cumin, black pepper.
Correct. Yeah, but the nutmeg also, right? We have all these seeds. So how will you help them? How will you teach them this list of spices? Seeds for spices.
Well, if our church as somebody who likes to cook, or like let's say somebody who's well versed, we can invite them to the class and they can bring like all their spice racks and from their spice rack and teach the different uses and which ones come from the seeds, maybe like that.
Nice, nice. Imagine having like a little tiny dessert with cinnamon on top, and you give it some of this here, or some other things that they can taste and see, like, you see that comes from a seed, right? I like your idea, Daniel. Okay, what conditions are necessary for seed to sprout? This is another question.
Well, here you can use a hands-on approach.
Hands-on approach?
Yes, where they bring a bottle or a glass, the plastic containers and so on, whatnot, and they do water and everything. So, and you let them plant it. So they use hands-on. So they'll look at it, how it grow it, and you ask them questions. What do you need? Do they need sunshine? Do they need water? And so you look at it.
And
so
the
they do
good
the activity and you observe, and so they observing, and that's why I say you use the hands-on approach.
Correct. I like that. And the good thing is that you have so many things outside that you can even bring a model. I found this Montessori model in Amazon, that how the seed starts growing. We can also go to YouTube. They have animations of how a seed starts sprouting out, right? So all these ideas we could use, and you see we're using different resources. We're using physical seeds, we're using YouTube videos, we're using graphics, we're using somebody that's going to cook and make them taste, like different things. Okay, now we come to that collection of 30 seeds. They have to make a collection of 30 seeds. How do you get them to do this? How can we help them complete this requirement?
They could probably save the seeds from the fruit that they usually eat that have seeds in them. They could start collecting that way, because it says 10 has to be from non-commercial. So save your seeds when you eat fruits.
All right, good. We encourage them to start collecting the seeds from the meals that they eat. That's very good. And it says there 10 of them can be from commercial seeds. So a suggestion for my part would be that you go out and you buy 10 commercial seeds and you get them with those 10, so they get started right away. So when they go home, it's like, oh, I need to do 30 from scratch, but I already have 10 and I just need to complete some of them. Something else that I did in Wyoming is that I actually bought some seeds. I had honeydew, I had grapes, right? And I have peppers, and I cut them out, and they were collecting the seed directly from the source. Okay, any other ideas on how to, not only on how to collect them, but how to organize their collection? How are they going to present it? Let me show you. I found something that I liked.
They could probably do a seed board, like how you do a knot board. You do a seed board.
Very nice, a seed board. All right, so they can use the presentation board, right? Another thing that I do with them, again, depending on the group, because the cost will vary, is that I can, for my club, I bought the protection covers, the plastic protection covers for coin collection. And I was able to, in every square where a coin goes, we will put a seed. But when it was my time to teach this at Wyoming, we were doing for over 300 people. So the cost effectiveness wasn't on, it was out of our budget. So what we did is we agreed on construction paper, actually cardstock. We bought cardstock and we did the division agreed in the paper for their 30 seats, and they were able to glue them on that. But something that I find here that I liked it also in Pinterest, let me see if I find it, is that they had little cards. They cut little pieces of construction paper, and that never crossed my mind, but I liked it, how I saw it. I saw different colorful pieces of construction paper, and they glue each seat on each one. So they will be like trading cards, and they will show each one and they will pass it around. and it was very good to be able to teach them. So imagine having like your own trading seed cards, right? I was trying to look for the photo. I couldn't find it again, but let me see, maybe it's the Pathfinder seeds honors. All right, no, I don't find it no more, but I did see some ideas. So let me show you from Pinterest. I put Pathfinder Seeds Honors, and it gives me some ideas right here. There is a board of how they did with felt. They did the model of the seeds parts, and they can put it there. What else? They have different diagrams, different things where they're collecting the seeds. Right there, you can see how they're collecting different seeds. Different diagrams, different cards, all right? So you can find always ideas there, all right? So you guys saw we use different type of resources. We use, the only thing that we didn't incorporate here is games, but we could also do it as games. You see, when you're making the list of the seeds that you use for food sources, you can make it as a game, you know, like a trivia, like with team 1, team 2, who said is faster, or you have to say something of this color, etc. You can make it as a competition as well. All right, so these are the different type of resources that we can use when we're trying to teach Pathfinder investigator achievement, for honors, and for awards as well. I'm pretty sure you know that there are more resources out there. In fact, there is a list of resources that I'm gonna put in. Let me share. This list comes from North American Division, right? You have some articles for discussion. So you have some links here when you have to talk about salvation, or you have to talk about different issues with the youth. You have book samples with their PDFs there with those websites. You have research word discussing websites, and you have online resources. All right. Another additional thing that we didn't cover here is that material that is available for Bible school, Vacation Bible School. They do have a lot of arts and crafts. They have a lot of graphics. They have games and things that we could copy, modify, and apply it to adapt it to our club activities. So I will put this accessible list of resources in the Google Classroom as well, and the presentation is already there. Do we have any questions? All right, so let me, if you guys don't have any questions, let me ask you one question. Do you feel a little more confident now if somebody asks you to teach an adventure or a Pathfinder class, if they ask you to be instructor?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's what's important. You see, when they ask you to teach friend or companion or BCB or eager beaver, you don't have to be stressed out and anxious, because there are materials out there, right? I'm gonna make sure that it's not part of this seminar, it's not part of that presentation. That's what I want to say, but I will make sure that I put the leader's guide for the adventure classes, because unlike Pathfinders that are available online for free, the adventures are not. And I know many of you are and don't have that material, and that will be a savings, and it's going to be for your benefit. All right, so use the resources, and don't forget the people resources. Don't forget to build up your network of people right here in your class. Right here in your class, we have 17 people. Out of those 17 people, we all have different ideas and different approaches to the things. So when you graduate, you already have 17 people that you can call back and ask for support. All right, so start building those connections, those relationships, because they're gonna come in handy. If you're not a very social person, that's okay, that happens. Start one by one. Start with your area coordinator. Start befriending, finding out who's your area coordinator, what is the church that is closest to you, who's the director, right? Start attending the trainings when you go to a conference event, try to get one contact number of somebody from that could help you at some point with programming from your church. All right. So that was the seminar. We only have one more, and I hope that you guys are taking as much advantage of this and that we're all growing up through these seminars.